We're very fortunate to have Gary Prisk. He has written the book Digger, Dogface, Brown Job, Grunt. It is about his personal memories of the Vietnam War, and what the show is about tonight is let's learn from this so we will never, ever do this again. And so what I'm asking you to do, send your member of Congress this book so that perhaps all of these people are making decisions for other people to go to battle and to risk their lives, that they will understand just a little bit better about what they're doing. Go to Amazon.com, search Gary Prisk, and you'll find it. Silence, abnormal in the jungle.
There are all kinds of ambient noises in the jungle, and animal noises.
Is that picture's accurate?
Oh, it even gets thicker in spots.
How far could you see?
Well, probably on average 20 meters in the mountains. It depended where you were. If you were in heavy grass, you couldn't see 5 feet.
Let's go to the next slide. Squeak. I think it's squeak. There's a typo there. Squeak. That was mine. Smoked grass for the abstraction. If you asked him the balance of the war was too much to absorb, Squeak liked his medicines. Some prescribed, some more effective. A lot of drug use there.
Not in the bush, but yeah, the troops liked their marijuana. They liked some other things.
Where'd you get it?
I have no idea, but I made a policy that if the Army wanted to come after one of my guys, they'd have to come through me, and so we never had any judicial problem with drugs, but it was on the market. It was sold in almost every village in Vietnam.
I want to go to today's war. Here's some facts and figures from Vietnam. The dead 58,209, wounded 153,000. In Afghanistan and Iraq, dead 5,412 and wounded 37,000 plus, a much greater percentage or ratio of wounded to dead. What's the difference in Vietnam, from the foot soldier standpoint, in Vietnam and Afghanistan and Iraq?
The North Vietnamese Army is the difference. Well armed. They used a lot of drugs. Didn't seem to have the same feel for human life that even the Taliban has. The Taliban doesn't want to lose soldiers. It didn't seem that the North Vietnamese had that care. But
is the soldier returning from Afghanistan and Iraq, does he or she have the same feelings that you do?
I suspect if they were in combat, they're going to be sorting it out the rest of their life.
I want to skip over to another review. It starts with deep, raw, and real. Prisk's riveting narrative will serve as an eye-opening introduction to the gritty truths of war and conflict for readers heretofore influenced by pop culture's more glamorous depiction of its true nature. Now let's go to see who wrote this. It's actually from Scott Fairchild, a military psychologist. Now, you've got psychologists, so for PTSD, you're cured, right?
Scott knows better. He has over 1,000 GIs that he mentors with PTSD. He's out of the Army now. He was with the 82nd Airborne, and he is a safe haven for a lot of veterans.
Are you saying that you can't recover?
Absolutely.
Anybody? Are there drugs you can take? Are there...
Well, if you talk to these psychologists, they do have drugs. But if you take drugs, you are just altering, you're just moving to another spot. And my point of view is you have to get a rope around it yourself. It's a personal problem, and you got to deal with it.
Let's go to the next graphic. This one's very important. I found this picture, and it says, an infantryman never comes home, regains a sense of empathy, or falls completely in love. He is a remnant of the boy you once knew, a short-fused remnant. You talked about this before, about you never being able to come home. Do Do you still kill in your own mind?
Every day. I kill somebody every day.
Are you short-fused?
Sometimes.
Should the public be afraid of returning soldiers from Afghanistan and Iraq like Pack Rat?
Well, the public sent us there through their representatives. And that's the problem. Should they be afraid of them? By golly, they ought to know that we're part of the population. I think that's true.
Let's go. This is a quote out of an interview you gave. The anticipation of death over a long period of time mixed with actual combat that at times can be a relief because it interrupts the expectation of dying never goes away. And there's always that guilt of killing and the guilt of living. You've talked about how in your mind you kill every day. And that's an incredible admission. But the guilt of living?
Well, I have guilt of living from battles I wasn't even in. I mean, it's a complex problem that a GI brings home.
We have a lot of veterans here in the area, simply because it's Fort Lewis and
Sure.
all of the bases that are around here. Do we understand it better here because we have so many veterans?
I have no idea. I don't find a lot of understanding. I find a lot of angst from the public. They want to solve the problem, and they think it's solvable. That's okay with me if they think it's solvable. But I don't think it is. I think it's a personal problem.
Gary, you wrote this book, and in this book, there's heart and soul and every other emotion you could possibly have. What does Gary Prisk want?
I want to spend the next 10 to 15 years honorably withdrawing our infantry from the field of battle. That's what I want.
And how can that be done?
Well, I love the Army. I think the Army is a marvelous organization. The only way it can be done is to recast the mission a bit and educate the people, these Eastern men that seem to know so much about how we should solve problems.
I want to go to the last review that we're going to go to. And it says this: finally, I understand. I feel that this book was written for my brother, my friends, and all of those who could never put into words what they went through. Is that why you wrote this book? For them?
I wrote the book to honor my father's service, my brother's service, and I wrote it primarily for my friends and the men I fought with, and any other man or person that had to go through what I've been through. I wrote it for them. That's why it's in a leather heavy bound case, so they can go back to it and find some solace in a passage or two or whatever.
We only have about 30 seconds, and I wish we had, an hour more to talk. But what's been the reaction so far?
It's been amazing. From family members of that lost GIs in Vietnam to wives to friends, they've all thanked me for what they've read.
I think we're going to let that be the last word. All right. You have something to do. Digger, Dogface, Brown Job, Grunt. Go to Amazon.com. Send this book to your member of Congress. Make your member of Congress read this book, and then before he or she dares send someone into combat, he knows more. We'll see you right here on Public Exposure next week. Take care.